wherever you go. From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
At least 4 fires sparking across our area, forcing some families out of their homes in the last 24 hours.
We basically took our 3 cars and met at the Walmart and kind of went from there.
3 out of those 4 fires started in Aiken County. The latest one, a brush fire this afternoon, flaring up again off Trolley Line Road.
And that's where News 12's Brady Trapnell is live for us, right from the Trolley Run neighborhood. So, Brady, what's the situation like out there right now?
Well, Laura, as you can see right here, there are some flames that just sparked up in this area right here. We've been here for about an hour or so. We haven't seen any live flames in this area. This just sparked up, though, but this is exactly what fire crews are trying to do. There's this huge pathway that bulldozers have plowed through to try to separate one side of the woods from the other. This prevents the fire from spreading, of course. And back here behind me, if you can look off into the distance, that's the roadway to enter this neighborhood. So these homes were evacuated yesterday. That was a huge deal. And now, of course, homeowners are concerned that this may happen again.
I'm wondering, what could happen with the winds.
24 hours of worry for Kim Dowlich as smoke starts to rise again just behind her house. Last night, her family evacuated to a hotel.
My husband answered, and they said that we needed to evacuate. We basically took our 3 cars and met at the Walmart and kind of went from there.
The family and dogs back at the house today as conditions across the area aren't getting better.
It's worrisome for me. My husband and I have discussed last night and today about what we're going to do with the brush area behind our fence.
Fire officials say this fire on Trolley Line Road started again because of dry conditions and wind. About 90 acres is impacted between USC Aiken and the Trolley Run neighborhood. And 15 minutes down the road, another brush fire in Langley.
A couple houses back here in danger, getting pretty close to them.
Langley Fire Captain Harold Kane says they called in state forestry to help with moving brush and coverage in the air.
They had called thinking that our house was on fire, so it was very dense smoke.
Bethany O'Banion came home to firefighters in her backyard.
I don't think it got anything of ours yet.
And as more trucks move in to fight the flames, Kim Dowlich is hoping this evening is more calm than the last.
It was really strange. I've never been through anything like that.
And guys, as you can see right here, this is one of the other spots that's been smoking up since we've been here. There are these placed throughout acres and acres of woods here in this area. And we spoke with fire crews to see if these homes would be in danger once again. They didn't give us a clear answer, but what they did say is they're really focused right now on plowing these pathways through the woods to prevent this fire from spreading.
A lot of families keeping a very close eye on that.
Yeah, those crews have been busy. Brady, thanks for the update there. Let's send things over quickly now to meteorologist Anthony Carpino here in the studio with us with the latest on these dry conditions and the dangers they represent. Anthony?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, so across the area, we actually seen some dry conditions throughout the month of April. Take a look at the map. We've only had 3 days so far this month where we've seen some kind of rainfall, but any of that really not adding up to much, only about 0.08 of an inch of rain. So very dry across the CSRA, and with that we do have abnormally dry conditions with those drought conditions pretty much covering the entire region. Now as we continue on through the next few hours in through our Friday, the relative humidity will slowly be increasing, but really not getting to that point where we're going to be seeing some improvement until Saturday, where that's where we do see those values going up, as well as the chance for some rain, Riley.
That's right, Anthony. We are tracking that chance for rain heading into the weekend, but still going to continue with that high fire danger threat the rest of today and tomorrow as well. But take a look at all this rain that's going to be heading our way on Saturday. We actually do have a first alert in effect on Saturday for this threat of heavy rain and potentially even some severe weather as well. Looks like a good bet we will see between 1 to 2 inches of rain and possibly even over 2 inches in some isolated spots. So it is going to be looking like a gully washer for us on Saturday. Now, frost advisories tonight into tomorrow morning. It is going to be another chilly start Friday morning. We'll have a look at that in the first alert forecast in just a little bit.
We are grateful for the rain in advance this time around, Riley. Thank you. The company at the center of a decade-long I-team investigation is finally talking to News 12.
For 10 years, we've uncovered problems with housing at Fort Gordon, some serious enough to land families on the National Health Registry.
And for 10 years, Balfour Beatty, the company in charge of housing on post, has denied our request for an interview until now. The I-team's Meredith Anderson has an exclusive update for us. And Meredith, there is a lot on the line here.
And not just the health and safety of our military families. I mean, that's a price no one should have to pay. But there could be another cost, one that puts us all at risk.
It all started in 2011 when 6-month-old Evelyn Shelton stopped breathing. Years later, Tavoris Hall rushed to the ER.
Shortness of breath scared me to death out of my sleep.
Adults also sick of being, well, sick.
There was this, like, orange stuff running down the walls.
For a decade, we've been talking to families living on Fort Gordon.
I wish that we could live anywhere else.
Collecting photos, combing medical records, but for the first time ever, we're hearing from the company behind it all.
How did we get to a point where it became a housing crisis?
Wow.
You know, there's a saying, you should inspect what you expect. And I think that, you know, we weren't doing that as thoroughly as we could have as the private sector entity in this arrangement.
That entity? Balfour Beatty Communities, a British company that owns and operates housing at more than 50 military installations, including Fort Gordon. Rick Taylor is responsible for them all, so he was the one in the virtual hot seat at last month's congressional hearing. He joined us from Pennsylvania, but he didn't feel remote.
And if I may, covering this for many years, it has always seemed like two islands, the military and BBC, that there were walls. And the mere fact that we are doing this together today sends a very strong message that y'all are working together.
I hope so, right? You don't get to choose, you know, your spouse in this marriage. We're married. We're in a marriage, and we got to be successful together because we will fail divided.
Colonel Shaw Pick has been Fort Gordon's garrison commander for 10 months, so he wasn't here when the I-team started uncovering problems that made it up the chain of command and even became national news.
How powerful your work is.
I saw your last piece with Greta Van Susteren, great piece, right? And I was like, okay, so I focused on what's different, right, since then.
The I-team found issues so serious, the Army classified them as life, health, safety. Things like electrical problems, mold moisture complaints, and gas issues.
We haven't found an issue in a home that they are turning over for another resident that was life, health, or safety in probably 5 months is my guess. That's a huge improvement, right?
Taylor says another improvement since then, bringing in a third party called Satisfax to get feedback from families, instead of Balfour Beatty asking families about Balfour Beatty.
Well, therein lies, you know, a potential for manipulating information. So we saw that as a weakness in our system.
Lawmakers in D.C. did too. The Government Accountability Office even called the data unreliable. But this change gives it more weight.
Residents can give us, you know, honest feedback without any fear of retribution.
75% of the homes on post are considered legacy, which is just a nice way to call them old and, in some cases, not up to current housing codes. Taylor tells the I-team maintenance costs come out of the same account for new construction. Since Fort Gordon's older homes are more expensive to maintain, they gobble up dollars needed to build new ones.
It's not going to get any easier to maintain these homes. We have to put new construction on the ground.
Which will finally happen this summer. You're looking at the future site of Pine Tree Terrace, a brand new neighborhood with 76 brand new homes. And only the I-team can show you the plans. This is a rendering of what the fourplexes will look like. They will be 2 stories with 4 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, with a lot of upgrades and updates, like enlarged garages with storage and a full laundry room. There will also be single-family homes with the same features and number of bedrooms, only they're ADA compliant and fully wheelchair accessible. Crews are also set to fully remodel homes in Magdalen Terrace, stripping them down to their bones, knocking down walls, and basically starting over. New plumbing, new wiring, everything. Plans also include adding a garage.
That's going to be, I think, the first real example of how serious we are about trying to build, right, new communities on Fort Gordon. We need them.
So how can Fort Gordon get more new communities? Both the Army and Balfour Beatty hope investors see an opportunity.
Lend them money. Is that good enough? Is that direct enough, Rick?
Yes, sir.
This is the center of the cyber universe for the southeastern U.S. I want the lenders to go, I want to lend them money. Build me 500 homes, right?
That might take building some trust first, and this interview could be a start.
We've been looking at my station and been looking into housing issues here for 10 years, and we've asked many times to speak with someone with Balfour Beatty, and we've always been turned down.
Are we being more, I think it's a great question. Are we being more transparent than we have in the past? Perhaps, but I think that it's good that we do, because you're seeing the type of improvements as a result of the level of communication that we're having.
Both Colonel Pick and Mr. Taylor admit the Army and Balfour Beatty weren't doing enough talking, not to each other, but especially not to those living in military housing.
How are your soldiers living? If you can't answer that question, you've taken your eye off the ball.
I think that we are equally guilty of becoming complacent and not looking at the things that we should have been looking at.
Now, as Fort Gordon takes a big step forward with a new neighborhood this summer, Colonel Pick hopes that momentum continues.
We make 21st century cyber warriors here that are worth a lot on the outside. And if they go down the street to a unit and go to work and come home to a house and their family's not happy, or they feel it's not quality or not safe, we are going to lose that soldier to Google, to Microsoft, to Amazon.
That, in turn, could affect national security, giving us all a vested interest in the success of this military housing partnership. Not all battles are won on the battlefield. Some have to be won at home.
There is a fine line, though, between a military family's privacy in their home and, of course, leadership keeping a close eye on the condition of that home. So families need to speak up if something isn't right. Leaders say they can't fix a problem if they don't know about it.
Such an important story, not just for these military families here, but Washington is also watching all of this.
Huge implications really for all of us, as Meredith said.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it for you. Meredith, thank you for following it up all these years.
And again, as Meredith mentioned, cruisers said to break ground on that Pine Tree Terrace facility, those housing complexes, this summer, and we're going to take you there.
Looks good.
Yeah,
Interesting project out there.
I'm excited to see that. All new at 6 o'clock, the owner of an unlicensed personal care home in Augusta has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. You probably remember this story back in 2018. April Polk, she was arrested after a man was found dead inside the Dynasty personal care home she ran. That man died after he was denied medications. Polk was charged with neglect and exploitation of a disabled adult, also obstruction of justice, and she was found guilty on all of those charges. 15 years of her 20-year sentence will be spent behind bars, and the last 5 will be on probation.
We are digging deeper into child cruelty case out of Augusta that left a 1-year-old boy hospitalized for burn and bleeding on the brain.
And in this case, 21-year-old Michael Hampton was arrested Tuesday. He was charged with first-degree cruelty to children. He's accused of snapping the child's neck backward and burning him on the leg with a lighter. Police say it all happened at an apartment complex off of Cooney Circle.
Our News 12's Nick Proto live for us outside that complex. And Nick, you actually spoke with Hampton's family today. What do they have to say about all this?
Well, as you can imagine, they are extremely emotional right now. I spoke with a number of family members and neighbors out here today, and also learned the relationship Michael Hampton has with that child. His sister tells me the baby belongs to Michael Hampton's girlfriend, who he's been dating for about a month now. The family also tells me they're having a hard time wrapping their head around this situation because they say this crime is not in line with Michael Hampton's character.
A 1-year-old fighting for his life in the ICU, a 21-year-old sitting in jail for it, and a family left wondering what happened.
I remember him texting me, and he was like, they're finna arrest me. And instantly, it was just like a rush of emotions, because it's like, he's so young, he hasn't experienced anything like this ever.
Michelle has 2 young boys of her own and says her brother watches them all the time without issue.
When I was working, he would watch my kids. If I wanted to go out, he would watch my kids.
The Hampton case isn't the first case of child cruelty we've seen in Augusta this year. Back in February, Christopher and Selena Scott were arrested for allegedly unplugging their 1-year-old's defibrillator, killing the child. Statewide data from Georgia State University says there were more than 1,000 cases of physical abuse against children in 2017. That's their most recent data. Michelle Hampton says her brother is not that kind of person.
it gets stressful. It makes you want to beat your head against the wall because you can't make sense of it.
She says the past few days have been filled with emotions, made worse by what she reads about her brother online.
There's nothing you can do to stop it. People are going to say what they want to say, and they don't even know this person. It makes you feel powerless.
And you heard Michelle say there, her brother's never experienced anything like this. We looked up arrest records for Michael Hampton in all of our major counties and found nothing. Michelle says her boys keep asking, when is Uncle Mike coming home? And all she can tell them is he'll be home soon. Guys.
All right, Nick Proto live for us downtown. Thank you for the update on a difficult story. Laura?
We told you about vaccinations slowing down here in our area. Now University Hospital says they're rethinking their entire May schedule since they've really seen low turnout this whole month. If you do want to get vaccinated, there are a couple of opportunities tomorrow on the South Carolina side of the river for you. AU Health has a clinic at Aiken Tech. DHEC will be administering shots at the Aiken County Health Department. And we have a full roundup of clinics in our area and how you can sign up for those. Just head over to the Wrdw website or our app.
It's looking chilly again.
Well, we thought these doors might be closed for good, but we can now happily say both the Hive and the Bee's Knees are reopening downtown. We just heard from the owners today who say they will be back open soon. They're keeping the details on the down low, but they did say the restaurants will be slightly different and evolved. So super happy to see
we're great to hear
them returning to the downtown scene.
Absolutely. Also opening back up the Regal Theater, as we mentioned a few weeks ago. That's at the Augusta Exchange, so that's a nice sign of
Do
life.
you even remember what it was like to see a movie in a theater? It's crazy, but it'll open the doors tomorrow for the first time since they shut down all of their theaters last March. The Regal over at the Aiken Mall, that is set to reopen May 21st. So signs of us slowly getting things back to normal.
You hear anything about the Mosa Washington Road? Let us know.
Yeah,
I'm asking for a friend.
Yes, we hear that is of critical importance.
Most Monday, I missed the most.
Yeah, Evans is a long drive from the news station.
Let's have a look outside there.
We go by Sunday, highs in the 80s early next week, actually mid 80s by the time we get to next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, there's a new trail to check out over near Clarks Hill. It's called the Pollinator Trail right near the Thurman Visitor Center. It'll be full of wildflowers, and it's meant to serve as a home for what its name suggests, pollinators like birds, bees, butterflies. The trail is dedicated to Christopher Spiller. He was a former park ranger with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and his colleagues say there is no better fit for this honor.
The Corps of Engineers, sometimes we don't have good relations with people. We get tasked with doing hard things. There's a lot of controversy around it. Chris was one of the few people that anybody you talk to, that was a good guy.
And part of the trail is already open, but there are tons of huge improvements now. They say it is worth checking out. New flowers, new signs, some new programs coming up, so keep an eye out for that.
It's like a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it. Just ahead in sports, the Green Jackets announcing their season promotions, and you know what? A fan favorite making a comeback. Plus an update on Gamecock football. It's all ahead next with Mike.